Does this actually do you think these companies? And I know that they're sort of in a position where they have to sit and nod and go, yes, of course, we're going to do this. You actually think this will happen?
I think it starts the ball rolling, and I think we'll certainly see more discussion at it. What's interesting in the U.S., at least, is if you want to have warning labels for consumer products, it requires an act of Congress. They have to pass a law. So really what this letter that the Surgeon General wrote is all about is basically telling lawmakers in the U.S., we have to start the process now. Start thinking about what a law like this would look like. How do we write it up? What's the timeline? Who's involved? Who has to be accountable? So this starts the discussion, and it puts lawmakers on notice. It's important, especially during an election year down there, that the process has to start now. So it's not going to happen tomorrow, but I'm willing to bet that in a year or so, we will probably see, if not a law being introduced, it will be on its way.
Your mouth because
right? I'm hearing from my members of my constituency. I better start drafting something, better start working with my colleagues. And I think this is a really good first place to start.
All right, let me go from that. Speaking of social media, Pew study says news on social media is a fractured mess, which kind of ties into what we were talking about. What was this about?
It really is. So Pew Research, of course, provides regular doses of internet-based research, very well researched. Organization.
I was hoping Mark Zuckerberg did his fucking con now.
Look at sort of, are we getting our news from social media platforms?
Well, I'm saying someone should go check out Valerie Font, because, like, has anyone heard from her? Since you guys blamed her for everything being terrible.
In other words, we used to get news on, from a legitimate platform that hired journalists, paid them to do the primary kind of research that you see in good journalism. Whereas in social media, if anyone can post any link or any opinion in it, and it counts as news. So essentially what they're saying is thanks to the pervasive influence of social media, thanks to the fact that Meta no longer even carries news on Canadian feeds, means that it's a fractured mess. Less than half of users, 41% on TikTok, a third on Instagram, just over that on Facebook. They say they're getting fewer of them are reporting getting news on these platforms. And Twitter is 2/3, but even those numbers are down from what we saw a few years ago. So essentially, we're still getting stuff on social media, but not to the same degree. And it means the research concludes it's a less well-informed population because of it, because we're not going back to the source like we used to, thanks to social media. That has broken the contract we used to have with conventional media platforms.
So basically you're saying we're all doomed. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Carmi, thank you. Appreciate your time as always.
Take care.
Bye. There you go. Carmi Levy, who joins us, by the way, every Thursday afternoon, pardon me, just to kind of fill you in on tech. And I think next week we'll talk about the new thing. I didn't get time to talk about it today. So Microsoft has launched, I think, the first set of laptops that actually incorporate AI. Ask him if he thinks those are worth looking into, buying, perhaps if he's sitting on an old computer, will it make a difference? In the meantime, let's get you caught up on the road, see what's going on. Sun's come back out after that kind of crazy 10-minute rainstorm. Lauren Glazer with a check on your drive. Lauren.
Aaron, looking northbound to Cary, it is very tough its length. Also delaying southbound to Cary starts at the top, rolls to Cote St. Catherine. Also delaying southbound 15 between Turcotte and the Champlain. Difficult drive on the westbound 20, Turcotte to Norman, now before St. Cabotel to Il Perot. On the eastbound side of the 20, you are losing some time through Doriel, also between 55th and 1st Avenue. Outbound side of the Mercier Bridge, it is busy from Ville St. Pierre. Also delays on the eastbound side of the Ville Marie from Atwater through to St. Laurent. Pretty slow now on the westbound side of the Tecan through the West Island. Sources out to St. John's, again between Morgan and the LeFort Bridge. Cure for summer at Sports Experts and Atmosphere. Take advantage of deals of up to 40% off a selection of bikes, camping equipment, and much more. Details in store. Let us know what you see on the roads. Call in your tips to star 800. Your next report at 4 o'clock.
All right, thank you very much. Traffic brought to you by Bel Air Direct. Remember, you can bundle your home and car insurance together with Bel Air Direct, and that could save you up to $500 with an online quote. Check it out online. Certain conditions apply. That's Bel Air Direct. When we come back, CTV News Ottawa correspondent Jeremy Charon. Today, the House of Commons adjourned a few days early for summer break. We'll talk about that, what's left hanging when we come back.
95.9 Virgin Radio is your hit music station. Hear the hits first from your favorite artists. Montreal's #1 hit music station.
95.9 Virgin Radio.
We got a nice long weekend coming up. I can't wait.
Yeah, and the Happy Birthday to Moi event at Jean Couture. I can't wait. A festive weekend awaits at Jean Couture with the Happy Birthday to Moi event and a ton of great offers for the first anniversary of the Moi program. Don't miss out. Plus, until June 26th, get 250 points when you purchase any mascara or lipstick and 100 points when you buy select Quebec products. Look for all the other great offers in your app. Details at jeancouture.com. Certain conditions apply. Moi is a registered trademark. Thanks for calling 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is Sarah. How can I help?
I've been thinking.
What have you been thinking about?
I decided I should declutter more often because it's an important part of a balanced and healthy life.
Have you ever noticed that 1-800-GOT-JUNK has a question mark at the end of it?
Yes, I have noticed that.
We make junk disappear.
All I have to do is point.
All you have to do is point.
Can you come right now?
We're on our way.
Or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Nissan's flash sale is your chance to save on select Nissan models in stock right now, like the 2024 Nissan Ariya Evolve Plus front-wheel drive, an all-electric crossover with a max range of up to 465 kilometers, with a $500 bonus and a government rebate of up to $12,000 for eligible customers. There's no better time to go electric. Nissan's flash sale starts June 18th and ends June 22nd, so don't wait, because it'll be over in a flash. On approved credit, details at Nissan.
You deserve a paint that brings your ideas to life in less time. With 30% off Seco Prestige until June 26th, create something to be proud of. Get a smooth finish in just one coat. Find a retailer near you at seco.ca. Seco, see color.
Dreaming of a refreshing night's sleep? Save up to $1,000 during Matlab Spring Cleaning Mattress Sale. Shop select Jack, Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Zedbed mattresses at matlabonheur.ca or at any of their 18 locations. For the perfect sleep experience, one name to remember, Matlab.
Hi, I'm Caroline.
And I'm Michael
Of Bossy Bone. Your tastes are always evolving. Our goal is to evolve with you. With dishes like butter chicken and braised hoisin beef to appeal to your sophisticated palate.
But don't worry, our comfort foods like pot roast and spaghetti bolognese aren't going anywhere. At Bossy Bone, there are no contracts and no wasteful packaging.
All you'll get are meals you'll love in every delivery.
And of course, our A1 customer service.
Dinner's always ready with Bossy Bone. BONCBON.com.
Elevate your energy solutions with Fuelit, Quebec's leading fuel distributor. From diesel to gasoline, oils, and a range of petroleum products, we offer on-site refueling for fleets with round-the-clock service. Get your free estimate now at fuelit.ca.
If the rising cost of living is keeping you on shore, it's time to think Suzuki Repower. Breathe new life to your boat with a Suzuki Ultimate Outboard Motor, professionally installed by an authorized Suzuki dealer. Get amazing results, superior fuel efficiency, whisper quiet performance, and exceptional reliability. Don't miss out on summer. Get out on the water now with Suzuki. Visit your local Suzuki dealer today or suzuki.ca.
What do I like about the Origin Quebec products at the SAQ? They follow my favorite rule 3. Locally made by local artisans using local ingredients. And until June 24th, for every $30 spent on Origin Quebec products, you get 3,000 Inspire points. So I'll be able to celebrate Quebec's national holiday and enjoy products unique to Quebec, all while saving money. They always say you should follow the rule of 3. SAQ, the spirit of sharing. Must be 18 years and older. Details at SAQ.com.
Soccer legends. Go for glory. On Europe's biggest stage. UEFA Euro 2024, June 14th through July 14th on TSN and CTV. The very latest news, reported and discussed. Welcome back to Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
All right, let's get you caught up on what's going in Ottawa, which is apparently right now not very much, because yesterday all the MPs decided, hey, let's get going early. We got time, things to do. Won't be back until mid-September. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News Ottawa correspondent on the story. So yeah, Jeremy, to explain, this is a little early. Was this supposed to happen at the end of the week?
Yeah, a few days earlier, which is pretty typical. MPs will often agree to get the last few things in order that they can, so that everyone can kind of get back to their ridings and get back to their constituents. It comes down to the last few days, and when you're trying to push through the last few bills, you can get it all done. There's no point usually, right, in starting a new process or getting going on a new bill ahead of a break. So they all come to a consensus. You need full unanimous consensus to do so, and that's what we saw yesterday.
So what happens next? First of all, I want to ask with respect to the whole capital gains issue, which has been batted, forth and back and forth now for a few weeks. Where are we on this? I know there was a vote last week. Is this coming up again, or is this now over and done with?
Well, it'll be now held over till the next session. So it'll continue to get pushed forward, which we see happen with many bills, which is unfortunately typical of Ottawa, is that things can get batted down and delayed like this. So no, we won't see any more progress now until the next session.
So where are we? What got left on the docket and what finally got done?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that got done, specifically bills. Well, let's start with bills that remain that are of note. Bill C-63, the Online Harms Act, which has been delayed. We're just talking about things being delayed. That's been a bit delayed for years. Bill C-64, that's the Pharmacare Act, which is before the Senate now. So technically, the House passed through, but is being held up and likely won't get through until the next session as well. Those are some of the key things that went through. The other thing that everybody kind of collectively agreed to push through over the last few days, and that is now being pushed through at the Senate, likely today, this evening actually, is the bill on the budget. So that has been passed through the House of Commons and is now at the Senate, expected to pass tonight and to get royal assent ahead of this summer break, because the Senate is still sitting for the next few days. So that's kind of a big one, of course. The important one is to get the budget passed.
Okay, so that gets done. They're now off. We're going to see them, I guess, around the country from now till whenever. There's not an election, of course, till the end of next year. What are you expecting to happen now?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. You talked about an election not till next year, right? At the latest, the election could happen in October of next year. But there's been so much talk about a potential early election, and it has the feeling of a summer where we could see some campaigning almost, right? It's I think it's expected both, specifically the Liberals and the Conservatives will be out in full force. The barbecue circuit will be very busy. All of the MPs, spending time in their ridings, speaking to constituents, knocking on doors, talking to people. It will very much have this sense of a campaign, despite the fact we're not there yet. But what we're going to see is the Liberals try and fight back here, gain some support, probably gauge interest and gauge where Canadians are at ahead of next session, to try and pinpoint the best strategic things that they can focus on next session to try and regain some of that support. And on the flip side, the Conservatives will be very pointed in their efforts through the summer. We're seeing Pierre Poilievre already here spend some time early on in this week, the next few days in Quebec, a province where they'd like to make some progress. The Conservatives are going to be going after some of these Liberal strongholds, parts of the country where the Liberals have historically done very well, because if the Conservatives can break through even in just a few of these Liberal strongholds, then they're going to be in trouble. The Liberals are, that's for sure.
So we know, too, there's a significant by-election coming up, right, in Toronto next week?
Huge, yeah, on Monday in riding of St. Paul. And so, that's another thing that everyone is watching closely and will set the tone not only for the summer, but perhaps give us a bit of a window into what we could expect come next election. It's a gauge on how voters are feeling, how people are feeling. It's one thing to hear, Canadians are frustrated. The Liberals aren't doing well in the polls. Those are all the things that we're hearing. But come by-election day on Monday, this is a riding. This is a perfect example. This is a riding in Toronto that is a stronghold. It is a riding that has been held by the Liberals for over 30 years. Carolyn Bennett has been the minister there and has held that seat since 97, I believe. And so if the Liberals don't do as well as they're expected to, but even more so, if the Liberals lose the seat, if the Conservatives manage to flip that riding, that will be massive. And it will really, set the tone for what needs to be done this summer. It's for the Liberals that they don't do so well. And for the Conservatives, it'll tell them whether some of the work they've been putting in some of these areas has been working or not. and whether they need to change their game plan. This is often by-elections aren't, people don't pay much attention to them. They can be completely meaningless at times. This is quite the opposite. This by-election actually means a lot and will tell everybody a lot about kind of what the next year could look like.
So this is, again, one of those ridings, as you mentioned, that the Liberals have held basically forever. Some people, as you just said, think this will be maybe this is a harbinger. We don't know. But is it a matter of if they were to lose, how much they lose by, or just by virtue of the fact that they lose it all?
Well, if they lose it all, it will be massively significant. I think the expectation, many pollsters and strategists have looked at this. Pollsters seem to believe the Liberals will be able to, many of them at least, seem to be believe the Liberals will be able to hold on to the seat. But even if it's the margin of which they win. In the last election in 2021, and I'm going off memory here, but I believe the Liberals won that riding by just under, they had just under 50% of the vote. And so the margin of victory was massive. And it was even bigger in 2019. So if they see a big drop-off, even if it's a really close race, that's going to be a massive indicator to the Liberals. My gosh, we might be in trouble if they're struggling to win ridings like this one. If it flips, if the Conservatives win this riding, it could signal significant problems for the Liberals, who seem to think that they're in a better position than the polls are saying. But I think that if they lose this riding, we can expect to see the Liberals go into a bit of panic mode and really try and change things up and figure out how to fix some of these problems and regain support.
Jeremy, just as a last question, what are the odds right now in an early election poll? You brought it up before. Is there a groundswell anywhere that you hear for this?
I think at this point, the Conservatives, of course, would love to see an early election. The Liberals don't seem like they're in any rush yet. I do think that we'll see an election called prior to the October scheduled election. But at this point, I think many are expecting. The Liberals, I think, would really like to ride this out, see what kind of an impact, they're going to feel based off of cost of living, based off of the fact the Bank of Canada has started to lower interest rates, inflation is coming down. As Canadians start to feel some of that relief, Liberals are hopeful that that will reflect well on them. And so I really think the Liberals are going to try and ride this out as long as they can. At this point, the gap is larger than it's ever been for the Conservatives. So I think that's kind of the strategy there for us.
Jeremy, I want to thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Take good care. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News Ottawa correspondent. So, yeah, we'd love to hear from federal politicians. We've not going after each other in the House for a while. Let's get you the news. When we come back, James Benny, the Montreal Gazette, will join us next.
Montreal Now, brought to you by Dormant You. If you're a hot sleeper, come in to talk to a sleep expert. Because at Dormant You, we solve sleep. And right now, save the tax on everything.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal. News, talk radio, CJAD 800, and iHeart radio station.
Wayland for Jason Mayoff with a CTV News update. Mostly cloudy and 28 degrees downtown. Weather details in minutes.
So the rain
right now.
Slide a little down or
The
no?
Canadian
No.
acting legend has passed away. The province's health minister predicts a difficult summer for Quebec hospitals and a boil water.
28 before it starts raining.
advisory.
It rains and it's still playing.
With the latest from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, here's Lauren Glazer.
Tom, we're having a tough time northbound to carry its length. Also delays westbound 40 now, starting Ray Lawson. It runs all the way out to Christophe Canal on the westbound net. More volume between Rockland and the DeCarry interchange for northbound Laurentian. Off and on slowdown starting St.
Christopher Columbus.
Northbound 13 delays there between Dudley and Henry Barassa. More volume between St. Rose and 640. Westbound side of the T-Can, you are seeing some slowdowns through sources again after Morgan after the LaCourte Bridge. On the westbound side of the 20, it's stopped to Norman again before on St. Southfield Farrell. Southbound side of the Mercier Bridge, it is back east to Stacier. Soak up the sun and stock up on sunscreen to Unifree. Save on Coppertone, Umbrella, Attitude, and other great brands. Stay safe in the sun. Visit Unifree today. traffic and transit every 15 minutes on CJ 8800. Your next report at 4:15.
In the news, New Brunswick-born acting legend Donald Sutherland has died at the age of 88. His son Keeper Sutherland announced the news today. Donald Sutherland told reporters back in 2005
so many
that one
movies.
fan sticks out his memory for a backhanded compliment.
Good, bad, terrible, amazing, all of them.
You know, it's even a Russian.
And I don't even know
who is your mom. He eventually won 2 Golden Globes in 1996 for his supporting role in Citizen X, for which he also earned an Emmy. Then in 2003 for the HBO
Play with Bruce
film
Willis or Brad Pitt.
War.
No.
No, he's nobody.
So he's nobody.
CAQ Health Minister Christiane Dubé says that staff shortages and vacations will combine to make for another difficult summer in Quebec's hospitals. More than 1,500 of the 17,000 hospital beds in the province are expected to be closed this summer. Dubé says that the situation is complex, most notably because the Legault government has yet to reach an agreement with the FIQ, Healthcare Workers Union. We set a record high temperature yesterday, but it wasn't the only record set.
It had record-breaking temperatures for the warmest minimum of the night for the past 3 nights. The temperatures were between 22 and 26 degrees, with the warmest night being last night. In Montreal, we reached a minimum temperature of 26.
That is Michelle Petty from Environment Canada. She says a cold front is moving in. That's going to bring rain and a possible thunderstorm with it.
Yes, that just happened.
An end to the heat wave and has already done so in other parts of the province.
Especially the power
A
of the
boil
past 4
water
hours.
advisory has been issued for parts of the city of Mirabel, northwest of Montreal. City officials say a mechanical issue at the Boisbriand booster station and a high water consumption over the past few days has led to the advisory. Tap water in Mirabel should be boiled for 1 minute before being used. For interviews and other audio, go to cj.com or download the iHeartRadio.
This newscast brought to you by Electrica Home Services, offering the full line of Lennox residential heating, air conditioning, and ventilation services. Hire Electrica with a K.ca.
Hey.
All right, let's see what we have in store weather-wise. This looked like it was hot and humid, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came this rain, and it really came
Out of nowhere. We knew from yesterday.
Right?
Lauren Fernandez is at the CPD Weather Center. Lauren?
Yeah, and it's my understanding that it actually affected the temperature significantly. We saw a couple of degrees dropping, so we got a little bit of a cool down, which is great because we are still under this heat warning. Expected by tomorrow that it should be lifted, though, because we're seeing temperatures even out to where they should be this time of year. And I want to mention that today's actually the beginning of the summer solstice. We'll see that as of 4:50 p.m., and that means it's the longest day of the year with 15 hours and 42 minutes of daylight. So we'll see cloudy skies overnight. We do still have a risk of thunderstorms and showers. It's about 60% according to Environment Canada. But when I pull up my futurecast, it looks like we will be in the clear overnight. We'll be seeing cloudy conditions. I don't think we will be dealing with thunderstorms. As we head into tomorrow, we're holding on to the clouds, but we see them clearing. We'll see some sunshine, a mix of sun and clouds, and we finally get some relief from this heat. We're going to see a daytime high of 24 degrees, just where we should be this time of year. Then overnight, Friday into Saturday, we're looking at cloudy conditions. So we're holding on to the clouds for Saturday morning, where we're calling for periods of rain with about 10 millimeters for Saturday. 23 degrees will be the daytime high. Sunday, well, this is a significant weather event. We have the risk of thunderstorms. We're estimating 20 millimeters of rain, and once again, a seasonal high of 24 degrees. And looking ahead to St. Jean-Baptiste Day on Monday, unfortunately, at this time, it looks like we'll be dealing with some precipitation. We have a 60% chance of showers, only 5 millimeters, though, so not going to be like a full weather day, a full day event, I should say. And we're looking at a high of 22 degrees. So, the temperatures are evening out. That's the good news. And hopefully we won't be under a heat warning next week.
So I just want to clarify, you're saying rain tomorrow and rain Saturday and Sunday?
Correct. And Monday.
Wow,
So it looks like Friday is the dry day this week.
Good luck. All right. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Aaron. Take care.
You bet. Let's go to James Manning. He's next.
what the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Tax the tax. What does that mean? We need to pay less taxes. B, we need to fix the budget. I think that's pretty clear. C, we need to build the homes. And D, we need security and safety. So please, listen to me carefully. I want to send you this message. I am the candidate.
Wow. Neil Oberman, he is the candidate for the Conservatives.
Hi.
He was announced last night, introduced by Pierre Poilievre at a rally. James Menning is on the line. Jim, you closed
That
your eyes
rally
for a
was a
second. You
shit
think you might have
show.
been listening to Pierre Poilievre?
Yeah, it is kind of singing from the same choir book, right? I like the one sentence, the one sentence approach to the various concepts, like we'll build the houses. I want a few details on that before we, and I'm just saying we're going to build the houses. But yeah, and it's kind of funny because I think we're just paying a lot of attention this week, and so we should, to Mr. Poilievre's foray into Quebec, his RV tour, his getting to know you tour. And I heard you speaking with our TV correspondent earlier in the show about what's going to happen, or the by-election in Toronto St. Paul's on Monday night. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of folks, and justifiably so, that this is a test for Justin Trudeau, that this is a test for his leadership. And indeed, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. It was a great analysis today by Radio Canada about how Liberals are dealing with their present situation. And I think the headline on that analysis started off basically quoting someone saying, it's too late to change leaders. But all that said, despite all the pressure on Monday on Trudeau, I think it was also a major test for Pierre Poilievre. And, given the lopsided victories the Liberals have won in that riding, if the Conservatives don't manage to whittle down the ratio of the margin of victory for the Liberals, and by that I mean if they don't manage to do better than get beaten by say a margin of 2-1 or even 1.5-1, I would say that is going to shape a lot of the assumptions we've had about M. Poilievre and his party from day one. There has been, I was thinking about this, I was listening to you talk yesterday talking about Pierre Poilievre and what's he going to do for you. I was wondering how much of this is chicken and egg, right? Because there's no denying, there's a huge poll lead for the Conservatives, 20 points, which is quite insurmountable. But if you look at it, how much of that is basically created by people presuming he's already in the lead, so let's throw in with him because there's no way this guy is going to lose. And how much of that would survive perhaps a reality check with a by-election, say, in Toronto, in Ontario, where elections are won. If the Liberals hold firm, if the Liberals keep that margin of victory, even though both parties are relatively unknown candidates, it's going to be a huge test for Pierre Poilievre. And I have a thinking suspicion that it's going to overshadow whatever happens here in Quebec. Quebec, you win majorities in Ontario you win majorities, in Quebec you win government. But I got to tell you, Monday night I think is going to be a real litmus test. Yes, for Justin Trudeau, but equally for Pierre Poilievre. And it'll be interesting to see how he or his entourage spins whatever happens on Monday night.
So I hear you say that. I can't help but think back to the first time Donald Trump ran. And I remember the polls at the beginning showing it wasn't even going to be close. And then they explained that away by saying a lot of people who were going to vote for him simply chose to either lie or somehow not get counted. So it seemed there were fewer people who were going to vote for him than actually did, of course, when it came to election day.
No, there's a
I
bunch
wonder
of
if
people
in the
who
case
voted
of
for
Pierre
him because they thought it
Poilievre,
was
to your
funny.
point, Jim, people look at him, they say, well, he's the front runner, I'll park my vote there today. As you're suggesting, what does that mean down the road? So if this Toronto by-election, and remember, we're still roughly, whatever it is, 6 months, 9 months, a year away, right? How does that really set a trend, a precedent, do you think? Does that mean a lot?
If I was one of Mr. Poilievre's strategists, the biggest concern I would have, the issue that would be keeping me awake at night is how long can you keep people angry? Because that's easier said than done. People are angry. You can have one sentence policy positions. You can make it simple, make things rhyme, have it jingle. Play on that. It's not my fault. In fact, and once again, to this great Radio Canada analysis, one Liberal MP is quoted as saying,
Justin Trudeau could jump into a river to save 2 kids from being eaten by crocodiles, and by the time they got to shore, people would be saying it's
Can I
his
just
fault.
say you're trying to compare
So
this
this
to
is,
Donald Trump saying that he
it's
can
not a
go
different
and touch
situation.
or
I
shoot
have
somebody?
lots of problems with Justin Trudeau, and I've mentioned them repeatedly on air. But the fact is, we are not
Hard not
dealing
to.
with real, quantifiable pros and cons here. It's just with Mr. Poilievre, it's simple sloganeering, which I'm not really sure. That I know it worked in the States. I'm not entirely sure it is going to take, even despite the poll results that we're seeing. Yeah. All that said, the other thing that's really, it's funny, for Poilievre and Trudeau, each is the other's greatest ally. Disaffection with Justin Trudeau is playing right into Pierre Poilievre's hands, and concerns over who exactly Pierre Poilievre is, I think, is keeping a lot of people from expressing themselves. And if that uncertainty is not sufficiently erased by election day, I think what the polls are saying now, it's not going to matter.
So, we talk about, let's kind of go back to what the situation is here in terms of municipally, right? We have talked an awful lot lately, it seems, over the past couple of weeks, maybe Grand Prix at Terrasse sort of kicked us up to the next level about Valerie Plante. A lot of people very unhappy. I know she was at was it a luncheon yesterday, Jim, at the Chamber of Commerce? There are a lot of people, even in the business community, apparently not thrilled with the way things are going in the city. So we heard Michel Leblanc's name mentioned in the past as a potential, and we know that this administration actually had floated his name to see what kind of support there might be for him. Are you hearing more?
Well, listen, he's not saying no. He's being asked point blank. He kind of grilled Madame la Mairesse during that get-together with the Chambre de Commerce. He has said he has repeated there are real concerns on the part of the business community. So I also want to be an optimist, but now I'm hearing people who are really getting scared. He's suggesting as well, or he's done reports that the city was not necessarily as clean as it could have been during F1. That things were we're not the same. I think it's like everything is heading towards a tipping point. But if we don't do something soon, it could be too late to change things. And one thing I thought I read that I don't even know it on here, but I don't know if you saw our story about this Cavendish coalition. This unprecedented get together of several Liberal MPs from Montreal. Quebec Liberal MNH in Montreal, the Mayor of St. Louis, CMR, basically calling upon Ottawa and Quebec to pull the plug on the Trump administration's blue box development unless they first extend Cavendish. I can tell you, Eric, I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen I'm trying to good word, an intervention or a mutiny like this.
A mutiny.
For different municipalities and different levels of government to turn around, do an end run around the mayor of the second largest city in Canada and say, either she, extends that forward, or you guys have got to pull the plug on this because what's going on right now doesn't make any sense. This, as far as I'm concerned, is a massive vote of non-confidence in Madame Trump.
So we had Dita Berthu on because she's part of this Cavendish caucus, if you will. And my question at the end of it all, because we've been on and off for so long, beyond all these people involved, and you're right, she started to give a federal provincial, there are many things that the MPs do. We talked to Sean Fraser, rather. But the question at the end of the day, Jim, is how much sway do they actually in this event?
I think when you see that the political engine lines up with the single goal, and that goal is an option to one fish to haul. I don't think if anything actually happens per se. I think the scene has been set with Valerie Plante having to look around and say one of the centerpieces of my housing policy is being called the West Church to this house because of it that I am. And I'm not entirely sure how the local government will because they changed one day to the next. For the Trudeau Liberals, though, I think it's a different issue. I think if they know there is a desire for that boulevard to be extended, they know there is a lot of resentment towards the Plante administration for all of its other policies. They may turn around and say, look, I think it's one level of government, right? Because the feds are in there too. If they pull the plug, everything
You're also my favorite.
So I think this is a very, very interesting development.
that I think says absolutely more right now about Valerie Plant's position in the political spectrum on the island of Montreal and in Quebec than it does about the cabinet expansion. But I tell you, this is a lousy surprise to go into a holiday weekend with and to go into a summer, which I keep telling you is going to be as politically active as any other time of year that we've ever seen.
Okay, well, there's something to look forward to, or perhaps not. So that's interesting. I will point out, Jim, with respect to the federal involvement, I only bring this up because when I spoke to Lutfi, he made this point as a developer. The federal money in this, which is $2 million lately, for a feasibility study. It's not for a shovel in the ground of any kind. It's just, hey, let's draw up yet another plan for what you imagine this is going to look like. So that, to me, that's lunch money. That's not a significant federal commitment here.
Get out of here,
Well, it's not a
Spider.
significant federal commitment, but on the other side, if you have a headline that says, Fed back out of Blue Bonnet plan, even to the tune of $2 million, those are not good optics for a housing development, the success of which is going to depend on good optics.
Fair enough. All right, Jim, I thank you. I was going to say have a good weekend, but you're here tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Because tomorrow's only Friday.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought that. Jim, thank you.
That's fine.
Let's go to traffic. CJD 800 Traffic Center. Check on your drive. Here's Lauren Glazer. Lauren?
Aaron, we're having a difficult time on the westbound 20. Turcons to Norman, losing time as well. Before up to Northdale Perot. For the eastbound side of the 20, it does through Doriel, busy as well between 43rd and 1st Avenue. Eastbound side of the Ville Marie, it is tough before Outwater to Saint Laurent. For the westbound side of the 40, that's between Ray Lawson and Papineau on the westbound side of the Met. More volume westbound Met between Lackady and DeCarry. For the westbound side of the Tecan, it's slowing between Morgan and the Latour Bridge. Northbound 13 has delays. Codelias up down Riverassa. Also more volume between the Vachon Bridge and 640. Earn up to $400 with an eligible Scotiabank banking package and an investment plan. That's money in your pocket. Conditions apply. See scotiabank.com/welcome offer. Let us know what you see on the roads. Call in your tips to star 800. Your next report at 4:30.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Traffic brought to you by Bel Air Direct. Bundling car and home insurance with Bel Air Direct could save you up to $500. Get an online quote. That's how you start it off. And certain conditions apply. That's Bel Air Direct. All right, let me get back to the question that started things off this afternoon. We've been talking an awful lot. The issue has come up an awful lot, certainly in the last couple of weeks. The immigration debate here in Quebec, it continues to rage with fingers pointed on both sides. Those who agree perhaps with the Premier, who blames immigrants for, among other things, the housing crisis in Quebec. And those on the other side saying the Premier is simply using immigrants as convenient scapegoats for his own.
Oh, what now? Oh, I hate you.
Political purposes. But now a third side in this debate has started to emerge, and that's what I want to discuss with you today. It suggests that rather than focusing on the alleged problems that immigration is being blamed for, we consider something else, which is, where would we be without immigration? Stats Canada reports there are currently more than 200,000 job vacancies in the province of Quebec. In other words, employers can't find enough workers. Why? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's not the fault of immigrants, who seem more than happy to take whatever jobs are available. So, could it be at least to some degree this problem of not being able to find workers for one reason or another, because too many Quebecers have simply decided they don't want to work? They choose not to work. Too happy to have. From cashiers and cooks at fast food restaurants, to dishwashers, to working in the fields picking fruits and vegetables, jobs that many Quebecers seem to be loath to take because they consider themselves, or those jobs rather, either too demeaning, they don't pay enough, or they require too much of a commitment. Yet many of these same people are perfectly content to collect checks from the government and simply stay home. In fact, according to recent figures, 37% of Quebecers pay no provincial tax. And 1 in 20 Quebecers under the age of 65 receive government benefits of one kind or another, either from the Social Assistance Program, the Social Solidarity Program, or the Basic Income Program. That represents over 400,000 Quebecers. So that being the case, those people choosing not to take those jobs and still collecting government assistance, the question then becomes, maybe what we need to do is look at our own backyard and have the government act by implementing a policy where anyone who can work, who is not elderly, severely disabled, or a foster child, needs to work in order to keep receiving social assistance. My question to you today is, does that make sense to you, or is that a step too far? We have jobs to fill that apparently Quebecers don't want to fill. They're just happy, some of them, perhaps too many of them, to stay home and collect social assistance. Should we force mandates those people to take whatever jobs are available, whether they like them or want them or not?
That's where they're coming from. Yeah. What did I do? Where? Oh, Not even what I came over here for. Black fly. Swim away. Go. Run. Trust me.
Police in the Eastern Townships community of Granby carried out a series of raids and searches today. They also made arrests in connection to a cocaine trafficking ring. The ring
Fun.
believed to have operated in local bars. 3 men between the ages of 22 and 48 custody. And all known to police. 2 other people are being sought in connection to the investigation. 2 Montreal area towns, 1 on the South Shore and 1 north of the city, are under boil water advisories. In South Shore Boucher, though, the water main break forced authorities to ask residents there to reduce their water consumption. That break has been repaired, but officials stated the water order until further notice as a preventive measure. Also in Mirabel, northwest of Montreal, city officials there say a mechanical issue at the Montreal booster station and a high water consumption over the past few days. Actually, boiling water advisory there. Tap water in Mirabel should be boiled for 1 minute before it can be used. Not only did the Montreal area see a record high temperature yesterday, records were also set for the humidex value and the highest minimum temperature. All of that was the result of a slow-moving system that hung over the area. For days, there is some heat relief on the way.
It's already going away for today because the regions of northwestern Quebec are already behind with so the heat wave is over for like the next parts of our region. So it's coming towards Montreal and southern Quebec.
Incoming down. She says the cold front that will move in the next hour or so will bring heavy rain and thunderstorms along the river. And it's difficult to miss Edmonton Oilers captain Connor jumping over the fence at Warren Savala's home. The long-running Extreme Oilers fan has viewed life-size 3D paintings of some of the team's players and painted their jersey on his fence around his front yard. The 60-year-old artist sold pictures, food flags, and even an oil painting on the front lawn when the team made it.
She had a 3D thing. The Western but when you go by and try it, it's like a movie. But let's give up the idea that it's going to go on.
The Oilers face off tomorrow in Game 6 against the Florida Panthers. For news and other audio, go to CJ88.com or download the iHeartRadio. Your Tornado Weather Center forecast, there is early heat warning in effect. The severe thunderstorm watch has been lifted. Cloudy, windy, a good chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening and overnight, below 20. A mix of sun and cloudy, 27 tomorrow, then 30 to rain and 19 on Saturday. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 29 degrees in downtown Montreal, 39 in Illinois. For all the news during the day, stream us on your smart speaker. Just say please CJAD 800. Your next Super News update at 5:30.
This newscast brought to you by Bustin' Move Moving. Are you moving soon? Looking for honest and reliable movers? Check out Bustin' Move Moving. Free estimates at bustinmovemoving.com. Buying or selling a used vehicle? Complicated. Negotiating a price? Good luck. Setting up a meeting? Nightmare. Transferring your vehicle registration online through SecClick without even leaving the house? No training.
Using SecClick to transfer a used vehicle is really convenient. Check the eligibility criteria for online vehicle registration. Visit saq.group.qc.ca. Get it all done with a few clicks on SecClick. Un message pour la Société de l'assurance automobile du Québec. The church knows some love it. Now, having flurry. Nice, right? Now I'm doing the strawberry cheesecake weather. And the real strawberry kisses and cheesecake flavored country duck. Tastes super charm. Available for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Giving you perspective and insights on top local insiders every afternoon. This is Montreal on Nissan Radio.
Welcome back, Tomo here is standing by. I think this is our last Shepperton before our summer vacation time, so stick around. It's all brought to you by Guaranteed Industries. Of course, folks, now, look at this. We'll keep you nice and cool. By the way, this is snap and getting out. It's going to be a little timber. Don't be fooled. We're going to get this hot weather again, so you want to make sure your system is running in top condition. The way to do that is the people who install the systems and service what they sell. That's Guaranteed Industries. Been serving Montrealers for more than 75 years. 514-342-3400 or online at guaranteedindustries.com. So, Tom, I thought we'd begin with this today, right? I'm looking for the perfect theme song to introduce Karen Paulina to Quebecers as the tours the province this summer. I thought that wasn't a bad choice. I know it's not a great show. Yeah, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Of course, I have another one, but I'll play that at the end. Oh, you got that? It was between that, okay, and this. So I'll leave that up to his team to decide which might be better. So, Tom, let's start off by talking about this tour of Quebec that Pierre Paulina has embarked
you've really figured out the problem. What's most interesting to me is to see that we have our ladders just like us, although on last night's interview with the extraordinarily great Maya Johnson, I can blame everything that's ever happened in the history of mankind on Justin Trudeau. I'm not sure that that's going to, I think that's going to wear thin, actually. We're going to have to find a few other ways to make this fix. But that being said, he is out there all weekend, news on that weekend, greeting people, meeting them, flipping burgers, and boosting his time. So that's really great.
By the way, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask if you've gone to Montgolfier, St. John's, being the rodeo St. Kitts, is he doing all this stuff? Or?
Yeah. Okay. And well, I think the one was, the main one a little bit later, but yes, there is that event at St. John's. It's really delightful, actually. It's one of the best things that you can ever see is that many, hot air balloons going up at the same time. And there's always great political imagery and the idea of that many hot air balloons, but we'll leave that aside for 1 second and just say this. That this weekend is going to be one where Trudeau's got his eyes riveted on a riding in downtown Toronto called Toronto St. Paul's. Now, it's Carolyn Bennett's old riding. It's such a liberal stronghold that they held it through for Stéphane Dion time. They held it through Michael Knapp when they lost almost all the seats that they had. And this is going to be fascinating to watch because her percentage, when Trudeau came in 2015 for 54%, in 2019 went down to 54%, and severely dropped. And then, 2021 down into the 40s. And where is it going to stop? And is it even possible that the Conservatives will pull it off? Now, I do know the Liberals, as good organizers, they will pull out every single experienced organizer in the entire Greater Toronto area, and they'll try to get the vote. There was a great piece by CBC online today saying they pulled a bunch of people waiting for the advance polls, and many people lining up for an advance poll is usually an indication of a strong desire for change. And boy, they become grumpy voters. A lot of Liberals say this time around we need to send a signal that it's time for a change. So it could be a bit of a drumming to Liberals. I think they'd almost have to have an incredible series of bad luck to actually lose the riding. But I do think that if Trudeau drops it quite a bit more than the 9th strike, I think he might be able to get through the summer barbecue season, but I think that people in his party are going to start sending a message. He's going to have nervous MPs in his caucus. He's going to have nervous candidates thinking running for the Liberals and saying that this is probably a really bad decision right now to go with Justin Trudeau.
So it was interesting yesterday during the show, we were talking about people that made at the rally last night introducing a new candidate, and a caller actually brought up an interesting point. He said, well, I'll let you hear what he had to say, then you can address it, right?
I'm all scared. As this all started, predicted that Pierre Poilievre may become the leader of the Conservatives, would never become Prime Minister. And I'm wondering, I'd like an explanation to try and great world, as maybe he's doing it already. What changed his tune?
Fair question. So, Tom, what made a difference? How has Pierre Poilievre managed to get to this point now where you're thinking he could be the next Prime Minister?
Well, I think that the polling showing him 20% ahead today.
No, but I think he's asking with respect to, if we're looking back to when he was going to become leader, not a lot of people perhaps thought he would, and you can look at it now.
Because those of us who know how off-putting he can be. Okay. I worked with this guy face to face for over 10 years. His humor is usually directed at other people and meant to last and not with. And it's not great stuff. They're calming him down. He's got a great team around him. Think John Baird and people of that caliber. Hopper is in there, helping him a lot. He's got tremendous access to information. He's included very often, and it's going to be interesting to see whether those numbers hold. But right now, when election were held, and was posting that it should be heading for a balanced victory. The Liberals will be using their standard line, which is you can't split the vote. They're going to be talking to NDP voters and saying if you put the Liberal and the NDP vote together, you've got a progressive vote that is on the par with the Conservative vote right now. Don't split the vote. Don't vote for the NDP. Now, you think that sort of has fighting back against that because there's usual line on the doorstep if you something along the lines of you can't trust the Liberals. But then the answer from the person behind the door is, what do you mean you can't trust the Liberals? You've been trusting them and voting with them for years now. So I think that Trudeau might be able to steal a fair bit of the thunder from the NDP will be enough to change his fortunes. I don't think so. He simply decided that Trudeau is actually best before they.
What do you make of this candidate that was introduced last night? He was talking to Dave for a point. He just said, tell me what sense you got, right?
C, we need to pay higher taxes. D, we need to fix the budget. I think that's pretty clear. C, we need to build the homes. And E, we need security.
Oh, third spirit.
So please, listen to me carefully. I want to send you this message. I am not trying to. Okay, there you go. Customer same thought to it, see. Well, no, not really. I mean, I think Mr. Orman, I congratulate him for becoming the candidate. And welcome to the world of politics. I've got to be very careful. You can't take constantly for the customers. When you say the tax means that we should pay less taxes, that's not true. When Chair Poilievre said tax for tax was clearly exclusively talking about the carbon tax. And you want to get rid of the carbon tax. One, the carbon tax doesn't apply in Quebec because we have a cap and trade system with California. And it's called the Western Climate Initiative. And it's a way of guaranteeing a reduction in greenhouse gases. And why you have to do that is to protect future generations and protect the planet from global warming and climate change. And that's what Trudeau's trying to do with the carbon tax. He came late to the game with Poilievre's been having a field day. That Mr. Orman is going to be in politics. He's going to have to learn how to be a little bit more open with what he's talking about. What's not true is that when Poilievre says tax is tax, he's talking about a general proposition of lower taxes. I've never met a politician who doesn't want fewer taxes. But what he's talking about specifically is carbon taxes and hammering away at that kind of thinking. If you're going to be in politics, be able to be transparent and clear, and that's what this is about. It's not about a general idea of reducing taxes.
I was kind of taken by the line about, crime in our streets. What do we know now? Factually, that there was less crime in Montreal last year than there is this. I mean, those kinds of things would sound good to say. It's kind of like Donald Trump, really, to a degree. I'm kind of surprised.
You keep hammering away at it, you keep repeating it, you hope enough people can buy in by believing it. But and some parts of the narrative of Pierre Poilievre are exactly true. When he talks about housing prices that the federal government failed to do anything about, and still letting in large numbers of immigrants without planning, who don't ever think for 1 second I'm anti-immigrant. My wife is an immigrant to this great country. Most of this country is built by immigration. It's a positive thing. But if you don't plan and you let in the equivalent of the population of Saskatchewan last year and Manitoba this year, guess what? You can't have an entire medium-sized province every year without any planning for healthcare, social systems, education, and everything else, especially housing.
To the point of social assistance, and I think this is our question today, saying, forget about immigration. Really, the question should be, where would we be without immigration? But that aside, I think maybe it's time, because people are starting to talk about this. I saw an interesting conversation on this just the other day. That, in Quebec, where there are 200, the labor shortage here is 200,000 jobs, and there are apparently too many people who simply choose not to work, even though they can. They're not physically or mentally disabled in any capacity. Yet they choose to stay home and collect social assistance. That's about 400,000 people in this province. And I'm asking today whether it's time that the government consider mandating that these people, should they want to keep receiving social assistance, actually have to go in work if they can.
I'm really glad that you put it together with that 400,000 workers. You and I exchanged on the channel with and said I'd do this again. I think it's really important, and I know that you know this, but still going to take the trouble to repeat it for those listening in. It's not true that there are 400,000 people in Quebec who are able to work, who are not working, or receiving welfare. That's not going to happen. That 400,000 workers are correctly saying it's time to count. If you really in on the people who are European colonists,
Drop it. They throw it? Drop it.
Lots of constraints. Otherwise, the government's got great programs to integrate them. We would love nothing more to get into the workplace earlier, but of course, when you have a situation where there were more people looking for work than there was work, then employers could choose. Now, if you walk into a large hardware store or another place, you'll see people who have different perspectives on life, but who do a very good job for their boss on a daily basis, and they're contributing to the economy. So we have to be super careful not to leave people with the impression that there are in fact 400,000 people out there twiddling their thumbs and taking the welfare check. Welfare checks are very low if you have no constraints whatsoever. They opened it up a little bit to encourage you to get back into the workplace. So one of the things that is true, and this is not to blame the immigrants, because they're the victims of another part of the bureaucracy here, but the idea is, if you look at the early 2020s, go back 4 or 5 years, that maybe 70% 25,000 people overall receiving that type of health care who were back to work. Now that it's gone well over 100,000, how did that happen so quickly? It's because a lot of them are the people who came in as asylum seekers, were not able to get work.